Uh, okay, so now I will talk about something closer to my interests and my heart also. This is work that I did together with Tudor Voicu, who unfortunately couldn't attend today. So this is a pragmatic perspective on data. The focus here is on conjunctions, which is one of the categories of which ensure coherence in text. And we wanted to annotate discourse relations of various kinds that are expressed by Romanian conjunctions in the Romanian reference Treebank, which I also mentioned in the morning. And we had two objectives in mind. One was to create a list of possible values that these conjunctions have. And let's say the target will be to include these conjunctions in this connective lex resource, which is like a lexicon of connective devices, a multilingual one, in which conjunctions are added with their meaning, so the discourse relations that they express. And the second aim was to identify the lexical expressions that render different discourse relations in Romanian. Of course, this is not only for creating this lexicon of conjunction, Romanian conjunctions and their possible values, but let's say the later on aim would be to create a resource from which we can learn and then to automatically identify the values of various conjunctions in text or different ways in which such relations are expressed. You know that you may have noticed or you are familiar because you work in this domain. In the Treebank, let's say the highest level or the biggest unit of analysis is the sentence, not a paragraph, not a discourse, a larger discourse unit. So this is the level where we work at the sentence level. And in Romanian, conjunctions, like in many other languages, can be coordinating or subordinating devices at the syntactic level. There is an example of a coordinating conjunction. Precum și, it's not a simple conjunction, we call it a locution. So I will use probably the term multi-word conjunction later on. I don't stick to one term, I tend to use both of them. And this is an example of a subordinating conjunction in Romanian. Now, we didn't create a list of discourse relations of our own. We used the one that was created for Pen Discourse Treebank. You know, this is a Treebank containing newspaper articles coming from the financial domain, from Wall Street Journal. And these sentences are annotated with discourse relations. And starting from this initiative, there are other teams who develop similar corpora for their own languages, and there are corpora for German, Russian, Polish, and so on. Not many, as you notice. Well, for Romanian, there is interest in discourse relations coming from people who work in, so linguists who work in pragmatics. Unfortunately, although the discourse level was of interest for some important computer scientists, Romanian ones, or people who focused on Romanian, Dan Cristea is one of them, we didn't advance a lot because this is a very difficult, still a difficult level of analysis in NLP. in recent years, I also collaborated with some, well, I'm a linguist, as I was introduced, but from the very beginning, actually, I've been working in a NLP group, but I started collaborating with linguists, theoretical linguists, pragmaticians. There is interest, but still there is not that, let's say, openness that I would like to see. So that we have better collaboration with important quantitatively and qualitatively results. So I still hope we'll manage to solve this problem. But there was a project, there was actually a cost action in which there was a tendency to work to annotate different discourse levels, and there was this work that was done 6 years ago by Sorina Postolea, in which she annotated Romanian adversative conjunctions in Europarl. And she used then version 2.0 of Penn Discourse Treebank annotation manual. In our work, we used the next version, 3.0, but that is the closest work interest to our work here. We chose the Romanian reference Treebank because it's probably the richest and the richest corpus that is also manually checked, so most reliable linguistically. It also contains several texts from several genres, which are enumerated here. And it's annotated using universal dependency principles and features, both at the morphological and the syntactic levels. Well, within this framework, let's say, conjunctions, as Joachim mentioned previously, are annotated where are leaves in the tree. They are not nodes to which other words are linked, but they are leaves. So for conjunctions, we have this special... No, okay. We have this special relation mark, which you can see that attaches the conjunction deoarece to the verb lovit. If I have a conjunction made up of more words, so as we call it a locution or a multi-word conjunction, only the first element in linear order attaches to the verb by this relation mark, whereas all the others are attached to the first element via the fixed relation, which was one of the relations mentioned by Joachim. So the inventory of relations is that is used in universal dependencies with some adjustments we consider necessary for Romanian. So up to here, everything is according to universal dependencies and nicely presents the Romanian data. However, there is one type of these locutions that linguists treat as a locution. However, we could not represent this as such, so using the fixed relation in UD, because namely the last component, so, has a double role within this structure. So in Romanian is the conjunctive mood marker on the verb. So whenever a verb has this mood, the presence of "s" is mandatory. That's why we wanted to always have it marked as such, as a marker of the verb in this mood. But we have multi-word conjunctions in which "s" is the last element, and you cannot automatically retrieve from the Treebank this information that this string of words for a "s" is actually a locution. Okay. Now, this is the inventory of relations that is presented in the third version of PDTB, you can see that there are actually 3 levels on which they are organized. There are 4 major relations: temporal, contingency, comparison, expansion, and they are further subclassified. Besides, let's say, semantics that's attached to these relations, we have also some pragmatic information like epistemic knowledge and speech acts. You can see here contingency, cause, speech act, which is further reason, speech act, result, and speech act, and so on, depending on the words and the pragmatic information they carry in the sentences. We started from an inventory of 122 Romanian conjunctions extracted from the Morphological Dictionary. These are either simple conjunctions, so made up of only one unit, or multi-word conjunctions. These were 71, but not all of them occurred in or occur in the Treebank we used. And we started annotating from the ones with the highest frequency to the ones which are even hapax legomena. So they have only one occurrence in the corpus. We were 2 annotators, and each occurrence of these multi-word conjunctions was annotated by both annotators. We wanted to ensure the quality of the annotation, but at the same time, there was interest in establishing which meanings, so which discourse relations are difficult to understand, difficult to identify in a sentence, difficult, to recognize, and so on. In discourse relations, we have one element which establishes the relation, and we have 2 arguments. And we have we mark during our annotation the arguments and the element that establishes, which is the conjunction actually that we focused on. And after identifying these elements, we assign the relation from the PDTB guidelines manual. So these are the multi-word conjunctions that we annotated. You can see here the number of occurrences they have in the Treebank, and this is the accuracy, so the agreement between the 2 annotators. With conjunctions with lower frequency, we had a higher agreement, but not necessarily so, as you can see here. It's a difficult task. Yeah, so this disagreement shows that it's a difficult task. Most of the times, the disagreement occurred or appeared when these implicit beliefs or speech acts, meanings or types of relations were involved. And here's an example with pentru că or because. These are the results, the quantitative results that we reached after we discussed our annotations. So what we have now is for one conjunction, only one annotation, because after, of course, we read together the manual, we discussed during the annotation, but at the end we still had some disagreements. And after sitting together and discussing them, we reached a conclusion, and we have one final annotation for each occurrence. And these are the results. We can notice that these conjunctions tend to have more than one meaning. So those that have a higher frequency usually express more meanings, more discourse relations. Înainte de seems to be an exception in this case, which means before. This înainte de. Usually one such locution has a dominant meaning, or it expresses a certain discourse relations by default, let's say, with a second meaning competing to that, but the competition is not that high usually. Well, in this corpus, of course, we cannot generalize. There was a situation with one conjunction, după ce, which is translated by after in English. And there were 38 occurrences where we couldn't assign only one relation. So we discussed and we considered that use of that conjunction actually expressed two relations. And this is not surprising, because even for Penn Discourse Treebank, this is reported and they accept it as a possibility in language. This is the different way of looking at the results, namely, we have an inventory of relations. Of course, this is not the comprehensive list of resources. These are only the relations that we annotated, so that occur in the corpus. And we can see here what multi-word conjunctions express them. So it's the same data, but in reverse order. Being further annotation to the Romanian reference Treebank, we decided to make it freely available, as the Treebank is already. And we needed to make it available in this resource, not as a derivative in a different environment available or something like this. So we got inspired from the way in which multi-word expressions are annotated in the parsim corpora, and we used a combination of numbers and the names of the relations to attach to the tokens. So those tokens that make up these multi-word conjunctions have the same number. So here you can see that number 1 is used for pentru and că, which is because in Romanian. And only on the first element in linear order, we mark the name of the discourse relation. So it's absolutely identical to the parsim annotation. And if you have more multi-word conjunctions in one sentence, you use another numbers. That's why here we have two pentru că, so two because in the same sentence, and the second one is marked with number 2. This information is always attached in the last column on the Connell file, according to the practice in the UD community. So each column has a special meaning. We cannot add anywhere else, but only in the last column, whatever further information we attach to this Treebank. So I've presented here, it's the first step, because as I said, we worked only with multi-word conjunctions, but the idea is that we need to enlarge this to annotate also simple conjunctions, so those made up of only one word. But these are, as I presented at the beginning, these are not the only types of connectives in language. Adverbs, interjections, and other parts of speech or combinations can also express discourse relations. This would be the highest point to reach, let's say, in such annotation. Another limitation of this experiment is that we focused only at the sentence level, but as we are all aware of, sometimes these connectives express these discourse relations between sentences, not only within a sentence, as we consider. Well, this was so focusing only on intrasentential conjunctions was imposed on us by the fact that the sentences in the corpus are not part of a text. So they were randomly selected from different texts. So we had to adjust to this shortcoming. That was all. Thank you. And now I'm happy to take questions.